Hi, happy Sunday. It is Sunday, December 17th of 2023, and my name is Esme. I'm here to do an astrology plan with me. If you are finding this, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really means a lot, and I really appreciate it. All right, so let's hop in. I am gonna start laying down some washi for this week. I've been feeling the Capricorn vibes we have Mercury retrograde in Capricorn right now and the sun about to go into Capricorn. So I have pulled out this grid hollow washi, a little grid for Capricorn and a little hollow for Mercury. I also have a little bit of this brick washi that I want to play around with this week. Maybe I'll just lay a little bit down and then see where the plan takes me. Thank you so much for joining me. I do have to say this is my first astrology plan with me, so we'll see how it goes, see what happens. I brought my have my ephemeris here. So the ephemeris is a book, a table where I can look up the astrology transits, and I do use it to keep track of my own transits, just to kind of check in sometimes when I want to know more specifics. So getting started here, there's a couple things I know happening this week, so I'm going to start with just putting my life stuff in. I have, as you can see, the astrology is up here, very kind of the baseline astrology, the moon, what sign the moon is in, and then the transits. So we have the sun moving into Capricorn this week. We have Mercury is already in retrograde. On Friday, Mercury will be conjunct the sun, which is the point in the retrograde cycle where Mercury is closest to the Earth. And then Mercury will directly after that move into Sagittarius, so moving backwards from Capricorn into Sagittarius, which is not the normal way that Mercury moves. And then we have, of course, this is winter solstice, and then we're going into the kind of cultural US holiday season on this side with Christmas next Monday. And so immediately just kind of looking at this, I'm noting that I have a lunar return. Lunar returns are something that are fun. Sometimes I pay attention to them, sometimes I don't. Because I'm sitting down to specifically look at things, I'm gonna note it. So this will be my lunar return. And that means that that's like my moon birthday. We all have a lunar return every month. That's when the moon returns to the same spot it was in when you were born. And what was I doing here? So I'm laying down my life stuff. So no school. I might spell things wrong. Doing things on camera, I don't know. All right, so this is what I'm planning for. And this is gonna be car. All right, so I know that we're gonna do a lot of cooking, which will be a good one for this day. So maybe I will pull up some fun recipes that might be solstice type recipes to make with my kids. I'll just put here, I do want to leave room for my tarot spread, so I'm gonna actually draw that in right away. I know that for me, I've been wanting to incorporate my tarot back into my practice. Usually a little goes a long way. For me, I used to do tarot every day a lot before I became a mom. And I did even then kind of find that a little would go a long way. And now, knowing that I'm going to be with my kids all day, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week, so that will be less time for me to kind of think and string sentences together, and tarot, having a card pull for those days will be helpful for me. So I'm just drawing in my boxes, getting them ready so that on those mornings when we're doing our getting ready routine, I can take my 5 to 10 minutes, draw my card, put it in, and it's right there for me. And then for this, I want to do some special solstice cooking. So and I will just write over here that I need to look up some recipes. I'm thinking of a cookie type of a thing, but hopefully not too sweet. We're gonna do grocery shopping on Monday. We do that in the morning. All right, and this is Tuesday's gonna be our last kind of regular day. And then here we have, I'm gonna give myself a card here too, because again, I'm gonna be with my kids all day. And then, all right. And then I'm gonna block in some time to plan. All right, and I have messed up a little bit. I don't have any whiteout, and I really don't like whiteout. So actually, I'm just gonna, I like to maybe just give myself a little washy grace. Actually, I don't like how it looks. What are you guys planning for the holidays? I know this year, with having recently moved and having young children, we are really keeping it extremely low key. That's what feels really good to us. But it has got me thinking about what might, kind of what our holiday traditions might be going forward. And whoops, it's difficult to write and talk at the same time. All right, noted for future plan with me's. And then I want to do, okay. So this is the general setup, right? This is like general. Now we're going to dive into the astrology. And as I'm just looking at this, I am thinking that I actually kind of want to take this washi off and move it over. So, oop, there we go. Because this side actually has a little more room. Gosh, I thought that it would be easier to like make something really cool looking on camera, but it actually feels kind of like a challenge. But I do want to kind of keep this, I don't know, real. So here we have, I'm just gonna use this. So these 2 days I'm anticipating being really busy and out of the house most of the day. And we're kind of in some pretty solid routines already that I don't feel like I need to kind of plan as much. So, oh, and this day we'll have the car back. So maybe we'll do the indoor playground. All right, so now I'm going to put the astrology kind of in the lower half of the week. So this is what I am thinking. I always have a bit of an inflection point when Mercury retrograde is conjunct the sun, just for me personally. And there's also going to be another inflection point. So for this one, I have Mercury retrograde going from my 3rd house into my 2nd house. So my 3rd house is Capricorn, my 2nd house is Sagittarius. If you guys are wondering, kind of like what house this might be for you, I do have some printable freebies in the Facebook group. You can look up Wandering Star planners, forecasts, and journal prompts on Facebook, and I do have some free rising sign house charts so that it can be really easy for you to see where things are happening in your chart, and I do have one for every rising sign. So this is my all right, and then I wanted to look up when it was going to be in the latter degrees of Sag, because I have both Neptune and my South Node in those latter degrees of Sag. That means that Mercury retrograde this time is going to go over those degrees. And every Mercury retrograde has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So the middle is the retrograde period. The beginning is when Mercury is going direct over those degrees, then it retrogrades backwards, and then it goes forwards again. So given that we are in the middle of that, and there's some topics that have been coming up and coming to my mind, and I have been interested in looking at when Mercury is going to be conjunct those latter degrees of Sagittarius where I have my Neptune. It is interesting to note, important to note, so Neptune is a super slow moving planet, and this is a generational thing. It's not just me who's going to be having my Neptune passed over by this Mercury retrograde. If you were born in the early 80s, it's likely you too. So I am just going to take this ephemeris and just kind of look up my transit. So there are several ways of looking up transits. This is the way that I use for kind of quick lookups for my birth chart. When I don't need things to be, I want to know the degrees. So I want to get a level of detail, but I don't need as much detail as, say, casting an astrology chart like I do when I make the planner. So when I make the planner, I cast a chart so that I can know the exact time and the exact degree. When I'm doing my personal transits, sometimes I take it to that level, but most often I don't. Most often I just ballpark it. For me, with astrology transits, I tend to, so here we are, we have Mercury here, and then we can go down, we can see this is where Mercury began its retrograde period. We can go down even further, we can actually see this is the column of the sun. So we have the sun and we have Mercury retrograde, and we can actually see that Mercury retrograde, hang on here, yes, there we go. We can see that it's going into Sag here, and we can see, if you look here, the sun is at 0 of Capricorn, and so is Mercury. So if we want, we can highlight. And then just a note that for us, if you're in the US, like I am currently, I am in Central Time Zone. I created the planner when I was living in New Mexico, so it's all on Mountain Time Zone. But this will be actually on the 22nd, because this book is timed for, I think, Universal Time. So it's about, I'm actually blanking on the exact hours, but there's a like 6 to 8 hour difference depending daylight savings time, not daylight savings time, and depending what time zone you're in, which I keep forgetting what time zone I am in. But luckily that is why I make an astrology planner. So I can see, you can see that. And so I can, using the same kind of method, look down here and say, okay, so when is Mercury going to be in those latter degrees of Sag? I can see, oh, yep. Okay, so right after the conjunction with the sun, Mercury moves backwards into Sag, and it's right about here that I'm looking for. So I can know that, okay, all of early next week, say from like Monday through Wednesday next week, I will be having a Mercury retrograde conjunct my natal Neptune. Again, with many other people in my generation. So I would just note that for myself. And maybe I'll give myself a sticker. I have this tiny little sticker book that I really, really like using. So maybe I'll just use one of these. Seems like a nice blue color for Mercury. I'm just gonna give myself a little splash here, and this might be so. And then this will be and then I can just know that that's a personal transit coming up for me next week. I'm actually, there's nothing here that kind of shows it's a personal transit as opposed to something happening in the sky right now. That's just something that I know because of following things for a while. So if I was just starting out, I might note, I might use a bigger sticker to give myself more room, and I might note that I was, say, Mercury retrograde conjunct, and I might just put natal Neptune, just for some extra clarity. So that is coming up. And then I also have noticed that Mars is coming along over these same later degrees of Sag, and that's not going to happen until further on. I think that's more around the new year. So this is a peek into how I do the planner, and I do really like looking at charts too. I like being able to have the visual kind of representation of all the planets in relationship to each other. So this is a chart for the 29th, and I do see that Mars is starting to hit those latter degrees of Sag. And so I'm just gonna make a note of that. And also we have Ceres here. And so that is interesting for me too. I do work with Ceres. And so I'm just gonna give myself a little note here for upcoming transits. What I wanted to finish with, though, is just an appeal again. So if you're just getting into tracking transits, you can check out my Facebook group. I do have some free resources there. Then please like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps. It really means a lot. So thank you for that in advance. And you can always check out my website for just the latest news and whatever's going on, wanderingstarplanner.com. Thanks so much for joining me for this astrology plan with me.